Assalamu alaikum. This is Shauruk Mujumdar welcoming you to the English news from Btv-Chattogram. Let's begin with the top stories. Government plans to recruit 1 lakh personnel in health sector, says Health Minister. Government considers online-offline classes across the country to tackle energy crisis, says Education Minister. Measles infection surges in country, experts blame falling vaccination rates and rising malnutrition. Fallen autocratic regime distorted history of independence proclamation, comments Information and Broadcasting Minister. The 19-day Independence Book Fair begins in Port City of Chattogram. Over 100 publishers participate. At least 11 people killed and 15 injured in US-Israeli attack in Iran. And Bangladesh suffer a 1-0 defeat against Singapore in AFC Asian Cup football qualifier. Those were the top stories. Now moving on to the details. Health and Family Welfare Minister Sardar Mohammad Shaukat Hussain said the Bangladesh government plans to recruit approximately 1 lakh personnel in phases to strengthen the healthcare sector. The recruitment will include doctors, nurses, technicians and fourth-class employees. The Health Minister said this in response to a question from Member of Parliament Kamrul Hassan under Rule 71 on matters of urgent public importance in the Jatiya সংসদ today. The Minister said that the current government is determined to make the health sector modern across the country. The session of the Jatiya সংসদ commenced earlier this afternoon with Speaker Major Retired Hafizuddin Ahmed Bir Bikram presiding over the chair. Prime Minister Tariq Rahman was present at the session. During the question and answer session, Liberation War Affairs Minister Ahmed Ajam Khan said that the government has formed the July Uprising Directorate for the preservation of the history of the July Uprising and the welfare of the July fighters. The Minister for Liberation War Affairs said that the government has decided to exclude non-freedom fighters from the list of freedom fighters. He said that deprived freedom fighters will be included in the list of freedom fighters. In response to a question, Agriculture Minister Muhammad Aminur Rashid said that the current government has proven that this government is a farmer-friendly government, a government for the development of the country. He said that the government has waived agricultural loans up to 10,000 taka. In response to a question, Environment, Forest and Climate Change Minister Abdulawal Minchu said that the government has taken a program to plant 50 million trees across the country next year. Civil Aviation and Tourism Minister Afroza Khanum Rita said that a decision to change the name of Dhaka Airport may be taken based on discussions in the future. In a statement on a notice by Member of Parliament Abdul Hannan Masood on a matter of urgent public importance, Water Resources Minister Shahiduddin Chaudhuriani said that an initiative has been taken to implement a project worth 8 billion taka to protect Noakhali's Hatia from river erosion. Education Minister A&M Ehsanul Haq Milan said that the government is considering conducting online classes alongside in-person classes in schools across the country to save energy. He said this to journalists today after a meeting on the energy situation held at the Secretariat chaired by Prime Minister Tariq Rahman, mentioning such plans in the context of the global energy crisis due to Middle East war situation. The Education Minister said that to save energy, schools will remain open 6 days a week instead of 5, with at least 3 days of classes conducted online. In addition, after the meeting on energy conservation at the Secretariat, Joint Secretary of the Ministry of Power, Energy and Mineral Resources, Monir Hussain Chaudhary, told journalists that 87,700 litres of fuel oil were recovered from across the country in the last 24 hours. He said that there is sufficient stock of fuel oil in the country. The measles infection rate among children is increasing in the country. According to the Health Directorate, measles was detected in 676 children during the first 3 months of this year. But in the same period last year, only 9 children were infected. Compared to last year, the number of infected has increased by nearly 75 times. In particular, the infection rate is highest in the Dhaka and Rajshahi divisions. So far, at least 41 children across the country have been reported dead with measles symptoms. Meanwhile, Dhaka division is at the top of the infection list, where more than 36% of the total patients are measles infected. Experts have identified 6 major causes: gaps in the vaccination program, failure to identify the disease on time, and strikes by health workers have disrupted regular immunization. The health sector has taken action to deal with the situation. The National Immunization Technical Advisory Group has recommended lowering the age for the measles vaccine to 6 months. In addition to ensuring 2 doses of the vaccine within 15 months through regular immunization, more emphasis is now being placed on the rapid isolation and specialized treatment of infected children. Timely vaccination and proper nutrition can protect children from the deadly disease. Strict monitoring and rapid mass vaccination are now the need of the hour. Information and Broadcasting Minister Jahiruddin Shapon said that the fallen autocratic regime has distorted history and prevented people from knowing the true history of the proclamation of independence. He made the remarks while speaking at a discussion held at the National Press Club today. Doctors Association of Bangladesh arranged the discussion titled Zia and the Proclamation of Independence in the Liberation War. State Minister for Liberation War Affairs Mohammad Ishraq Hussain was also participated in the discussion. Jahiruddin Shapon said that while political leaders led the nation up to 25th March in 1971, the period that followed revolved around Zia's proclamation of independence. He added that the history of the period from 25th of March to 10 April of 1971 must be studied in depth. The gymnasium ground of Port City of Chattogram has transformed into a vibrant hub for book lovers as the Great Independence Book Fair 2026 inaugurated today. City Mayor Dr. Shaudat Hussain inaugurated the 19-day festival by releasing balloons and cutting the ceremonial ribbon. During the inaugural address, City Mayor said there is no alternative to the book fair for teaching new generation the true history of country's independence. Dr. Shaudat Hussain urged parents and citizens to encourage reading among the youth to build a society free from drugs and terrorism, noting that books are essential for instilling patriotism and humanity. This year's fair is significantly larger than previous editions. A total of 129 stalls have been set up, featuring 112 publishing houses from both Dhaka and Chattogram. This 19-day-long book fair will be open to the public from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. every day. On holidays, the fair will start at 10 a.m. and continue until 9 p.m. The event will also host various cultural and thematic programs on the fair stage, including the Rabindra Nazrul Festival, Liberation War Festival and Children's Festival. To ensure a safe environment for all visitors, the organizers have deployed additional police personnel and installed a comprehensive CCTV camera network across the premises. Organizers hope the fair will serve as a premier meeting ground for writers, readers and publishers in the port city throughout the month of April. Now, international news. At least 11 people have been killed and 15 injured in an attack on the city of Mohallat in Iran's Markazi province. The country's ISNA news agency reported that 3 residential units were directly hit by projectiles, causing significant damage. Separate attacks were also reported in Tehran and central Isfahan. Meanwhile, several cars have caught fire after being struck by missile fragments in central Israel following a new barrage fired by Iran. Police said debris fell at multiple sites in the Tel Aviv district, adding that there were no casualties at this stage. U.S. Central Command said an amphibious warship carrying Marines is in the Indian Ocean amid rising tensions with Iran. Officials said the ship was carrying about 1,800 Marines from the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit. On the other hand, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said the war with Iran was beyond the halfway point in terms of missions, but given no timeline for its end. Speaking to Newmax on Monday, Benjamin Netanyahu said thousands of Iran's Revolutionary Guards had been killed. He added that Israel and the U.S. were close to crippling Iran's arms industry and nuclear program. Meanwhile, China has called on the United States and Israel to immediately halt military operations, as Pakistan's foreign minister visited Beijing for talks. They said China and Pakistan shared similar positions on major international and regional issues. The foreign ministry said China would continue efforts to ease tensions and restore peace. Gulf officials have also urged de-escalation, but missile and drone strikes continue across the region. Meanwhile, in an exclusive interview with Al Jazeera, United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio said communication between Tehran and Washington is ongoing, mostly through intermediaries. On the other hand, Iran's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Baghei said a 15-point proposal conveyed via Pakistan had not been welcomed, describing the proposals as maximalist and unreasonable. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump has threatened to destroy Iran's main oil export hub and energy infrastructure if no deal is reached soon. 3 United Nations peacekeepers from Indonesia were killed in 2 separate incidents in southern Lebanon after a bloody weekend in which Lebanese journalists and medics were killed in Israeli strikes. Indonesia condemned the incident and said any harm to peacekeepers is unacceptable, while reiterating its condemnation of Israel's attacks in southern Lebanon. The country's foreign minister Sugiono called on Tuesday for an emergency UN Security Council meeting and for a swift, true and transparent investigation into the heinous attack. UNIFIL spokesperson Candice Ardiel said they are investigating the incidents separately. Israel's military said early on Tuesday it is aware of the reports regarding the 2 incidents and they are being reviewed thoroughly to determine whether they resulted from Hezbollah or the military's activity. Meanwhile, Israel is seeking to cut Hezbollah supply lines with strikes on key roads in southern Lebanon. The army carried out overnight strikes in West Bekaa, isolating areas with Hezbollah presence. It also hit a road linking the region to the south in a bid to block reinforcements and supplies. The strategy appears aimed at restricting access to southern areas and limiting Hezbollah's operations. On the other hand, the Israeli military says 4 soldiers have been killed in southern Lebanon by Hezbollah. At least 10 Israeli soldiers have now been killed in southern Lebanon since 2nd of March. At least 70 people were killed and 30 injured during an attack near Petite Riviere in Haiti's breadbasket Artibonite region on Monday. The human rights group said the death toll will be significantly higher than official estimates. Residents and officials told local media the attack began in the early hours on Sunday in rural communities around Jidani and continued into the early hours of Monday, with gang members storming the area and setting homes on fire. The UN estimated that more than 2,000 people left their homes in the days prior following raids by armed gangs nearby. while the human rights group estimated that 6,000 people had been displaced by the violence. Now news and sports. Football. Bangladesh national football team suffered a narrow 1-0 defeat against Singapore in their AFC Asian Cup 2027 qualifiers Group C fixture at the National Stadium in Singapore. Despite a spirited performance from the Bengal Tigers, a 31st minute strike from Harris Stewart proved to be the difference, extending the Lions' unbeaten run in the third round. Bangladesh started the match with high intensity, creating several early chances and keeping the Singaporean defense on their toes. Against the run of play, Singapore launched a lethal counterattack. A shot from Glenn Kui was parried by Bangladesh goalkeeper Mithul Marma,